Okay, so hi guys. It's 19th of June, yet another Core SIG meeting. I'm Łukasz Górnicki, your today's moderator and also notes taker. So I'm all one team. And the agenda for today, of course, first jump into the topics. We have usual questions and welcome of new attendees, but today we have pretty small group. The only, let's say, person that I know from that is not in Kyma is Jamie, but Jamie is working closely with us. He's from SAP, so, and I think you've attended previous meetings, so I don't think you need a separate welcome, or would you like to have one?
No, I've been on a few, so I get the whole format, but I appreciate that.
Okay, cool. So today we'll have a few topics. One quite important note from Piotr Mscichowski that is working in Kyma behind the service mesh capability. And he will share some ideas we have towards the Hydra project and how we want to work with the project. And then because we released Kyma 1.2, we want to share two really nice things that we achieved with 1.2. So early integration with Kiali, and our star, Andreas Thaler, will show that to us. And Sayan, that just please let me remind you, Sayan, you should turn on your camera if you want to present. But yeah, Sayan from our eventing team will show how you can use Kyma with Google PubSub as a the delivery of the events instead of nuts. And then we're going to have a quick board review, but I don't think we have many things there. And if you're going to have some additional questions at the end, just ask them. So first things first, Piotr, please go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. Łukasz, you have to stop sharing, otherwise I cannot share my screen. Or should I not share anything?
I already stopped sharing, so you can share.
Okay. Okay, can you see the roadmap?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what we have in Kyma as a part of the API gateway capability is that we can expose any kind of applications, lambdas externally, and we can enable authentication for those services. However, we do not have any authorization mechanism, like, for example, auth to server. We have an epping, as you can see here, for that. Basically, it gathers topics around authorization in Kyma, including our APIs. And one of the things we like to have in Kyma is an auth to server, auth to implementation, together with OpenID Connect. For authentication and OpenID Connect, we already have DEX, which is a federated identity provider, but we do not have authorization server auth to server. And we did a research what is available, I would say, in the Kubernetes world for auth to servers, and we found out company Ori with their product called Hydra. Basically, Ori company is responsible for access management services. They have a few projects: Hydra as an auth to server, Authkeeper as a auth to reverse proxy, Keto as a role access management service. So they are tightly coupled with access management topics. And we did a POC in the Kyma where we said, okay, I would like to expose my my Lambda with auth to tokens fetched in the client-facing flow and non-client-facing flows. The results of our POC were described in the Kyma incubator as just examples, and we have, as I mentioned, the client user-facing flow, implicit flow, here. And we have service-to-service communication, so non-client facing flow, which is called the client credentials. Basically, what we have achieved is that we have Hydra in the Kyma, we have Authkeeper as a reverse proxy, and our Lambda, which is exposed externally, is secured using client credentials, access tokens, or access tokens fetched from the implicit grant in Hydra. This was a POC. We ended up in the given results. However, now was the question how to move further. So how to integrate Kyma officially with Ori and with Hydra auth to server. Given that, we did meet with the Ori guys from the Ori company. We had 2 days workshops in Gliwice, and we have accomplished a collaboration where first we will create an architecture and a blog post about our collaboration with Hydra as a main auth to server in Kyma, and with the exact architecture diagram showing us how the integration will look like. And we, as a Kyma, will contribute to Ori with controllers on their side, making Hydra more Kubernetes native, because they are not yet prepared for Kubernetes. For example, once the result of that workshops were, okay, we have to create a Helm charts for Authkeeper. And we already have some action items. As you can see, this is a GitHub of the Hydra, the auth2 server. We created together with Ori guys new repository, and in the Kyma we will, as I mentioned, create a Kubernetes controllers for Hydra and for Authkeeper. The first one, the Authkeeper, will, based on the custom resources, will allow to configure the reverse proxy, like for example, register new authorization rules, so that in the end, when you have a Kyma, the default Kyma installation, you will have also auth to server, and you will have a reverse proxy for your application if you like to expose them and select, okay, I want to apply some authorization there. Next topic will be Hydra Kubernetes controller for managing Hydra itself, because right now it has a REST API, and that's it. And as I mentioned, the Helm charts are also, the prerequisite is already provided to Ori guys, and it's already reviewed and will be soon merged. So what are the plans for us? Deliver the controllers. Once it's done, use the Helm charts. Put the Helm charts, which are right now optional in the Kyma, are not installed by default. Make it a default part of the installation, and move on with our adoption from the UI, from the console UI, and for whole our API gateway. Pretty much that's all.
Awesome, Piotr. Thanks a lot. Any questions to Piotr before we jump to the next topic? Okay, no questions. Then let's go back to the agenda. Can you see it?
Yes.
As you can see, I'm super awesome in writing notes. All the links are there even, so you can check them out later. Next topic on agenda, release 1.2. So I'm going to stop sharing, and now Ike will jump into Kiali, and then pass over to Sayan for Google PubSub.
Yep. Ike, by the way, is my nickname. Andreas is my full name.
That's not widely known. But I thought it's widely known.
No, in Berlin there are a lot of that with the name Ike. Yeah. So after that nice summary of Piotr and that more dry topic, I would like to get into practice a bit more now and demonstrate our early integration of Kiali. Kiali is a visualization tool for Istio at the end, so for the service mesh. As you know, it's not always easy to manage and operate such a service mesh, and so we hope that this tool will bring more transparency to the user of Kyma and understanding what's going on in the cluster. And yeah, Kiali looks promising. The features are mainly visualizing the topology of the service mesh, indicating health of every application running inside, providing some metrics about mainly about the requests itself, so the communication between the applications, and providing a way to see easily all configurations for the applications of the mesh, and even providing their validation for it. Distributed tracing, I think that's not really a feature at the end. It's just a deep link into Jaeger, so it's not really part of the Kiali dashboard itself. Yes, let's quickly take a look into the architecture of Kiali to understand the dependencies. It is fully based on Istio itself, but it has no hard dependency, it's a soft dependency, because it's just getting all relevant data from Prometheus and from the API server at the end. So in Istio, the telemetry must be enabled so that the data is getting collected by Prometheus, and then Kiali will base everything on Prometheus. And the big advantage is that there's really no performance impact at the end. It's just visualizing the data coming from Prometheus, and it will not harm the runtime behavior of the cluster itself by that. And yeah, the optional services here, Jaeger and Grafana, that are mainly that deep link feature. So you can easily jump into Grafana and see the relevant data, and same for Jaeger, but there is no, that's it from the integration perspective. Yeah, seeing that, our integration looked like this, that it's now bundled into the Istio module Helm chart coming with Kyma with a feature flag. So you need to say Kiali enable true in the values YAML of the chart, so in the installer config overrides. And there's a hard requirement that you have the monitoring module also enabled at installation. And yeah, so I want to quickly now summarize how I was setting it up locally, and then showing it in practice a bit. For the setup, what also a big change now was with the 1.2 release of Kyma, was that we changed the approach for the local installation of a Kyma cluster by making it based fully on our CLI project. So I just upfront installed the CLI via a homebrew command, was quite easy. And then I just started to provision Minikube, increasing the memory size because I have monitoring enabled, and that takes more, you need more than just the standard configuration. And afterwards, I just said Kyma install. I set a custom password for the Kyma cluster itself. And I specified that I want to use a config override, so pointing at the end to a custom file, and that file looks like this, that I'm here just duplicating this installer resource where the list of the components which should be installed is listed. So I added here monitoring, because that's not part of the standard Minikube installation. And I added a config map override for Istio, specifying the Kiali enabled flag, and there are two more options also to configure a username and password for the login to Kiali. So that's currently a flaw of the early integration, that authentication is not integrated with Kyma itself. So just static username password. Yeah, and with that I just started the installation, and as a result I can access have a nicely running Kyma cluster on my local machine, having monitoring enabled and Kiali as well. Unfortunately, I detected a bug which we directly started to fix. The problem is that indeed it's not exposed well via Kiali Kyma local, and for now a small workaround is just to edit the virtual service of Kiali and just prefix here the host with Kiali that was missing, and then it's working well. So in the next Kyma release that will be fixed for sure. So now let's go into Kiali. So now it's available via under Kiali Kyma local. I'm saying admin because it was my custom configuration of the installer. It's complaining here that the Grafana URL is not configured. That's also missing this Grafana and Jaeger integration we have not done yet. But that's just, as I said, this deep linking, which is not working. And yeah, that's what you see when you enter it. So the list of all namespaces, you directly see the amount of applications which are part of the service mesh and if they are in general healthy or not. And what is also a nice feature is you directly see here if mutual TLS is enabled for the namespace or not. So I created a custom namespace called custom, and by default it is enabled. But for example, the Knative serving, though the default is not to have MTLS enabled, and that's why the symbol is missing here. Going to the next tab, that's also one of the big features that they are trying to visualize the dependencies between the applications. We have to see how really it can be useful, because of it's hard to visualize. But I mean, they will improve definitely the graph. Currently, it's maybe not optimal. But let's take in my custom namespace here. I deployed just 3 lambdas. One is always returning in 500 response, one is returning always success, and 1 lambda which is calling the 2 internal. And that one I'm calling from external every 3 seconds. You can also see here traffic animation, how the things are flowing here. And yeah, we can easily see that we have here a problem that all the involved requests have an overall request rate of 33%. So 1/3 of all requests here are failing. You can click on it to see then the detailed request information for the specific application. And what you also can do is you can see again where really mutual TLS is enabled and where not. So the symbol on the graphs. Yeah, maybe any questions on that feature for now? Otherwise, I will just continue. No? Okay. Then next section is application. So here you just get the list of the applications in the mesh in your namespace with a health indicator. When you go inside, you can get more, you see really the pods then and more details. At the end, yeah, it's really a drill down of what requests are happening, which protocol is used, and what is the failing rates, even with some nice pictures. And what here, the workload view is more the pod view, yeah, and the services. 1 second. Where's the feature of usually? Sorry, I will just refresh now. Where is it? Usually you see also if an application has an Istio sidecar. Oh, because of course all my applications have an Istio sidecar. That's why it's not displayed here. So let's maybe take Kyma system as well. So you here see now, okay, sidecar is missing, and also on this workload view, you will see if the up label is there or not. And the last feature I would say is really that for every application and in general you can see all the Istio relevant configurations and you can modify them here. So you can directly go there and modify them and save them, and that will be with validation. But we disabled that feature because I think that's quite powerful and dangerous. And for now, we just disabled it by configuring the ABAC rules that this application cannot do modifying changes. I think that's also for the real integration. Then it should be up to the installer, of course, to decide on enabled or not enabled the configuration. Also that you can really save here and change things. Yeah, to summarize, I think also we will go for it. We will do a final integration of it. It will definitely help figuring out what's going on in the cluster. What is mainly missing is really this integrating the authentication, having a toggle for this configuration editing, and the proper integration of Yiga and Grafana deep linking. No. And that's from my side. Vukash, handing back to you.
Thanks a lot, Andreas.
Yes.
And now, I mean, if there are no questions, of course, are there any questions? Okay, no questions, then yeah. Sayan, now it's your turn.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Loud and clear?
Yes.
Yes, I think yes.
Great. So let's do this.
I can see you even.
That's right. Good. I want. Okay, so is my terminal visible?
Yes, I
Yes.
can see it. And the size is also good.
Good. Okay, so in this release, we enabled GCP PubSub to be used with Kyma. So the thing is, with the out-of-box installation for Kyma, you would see your screen sharing is paused. Okay. Right. Is it still shared?
Yeah, we can still see the terminal.
Okay. So in the out-of-box installation for Kyma, we use NATS as a cluster channel provisioner. And that is configured in this config map inside Knative eventing. But one could change the default configuration to anything like in-memory or GCP PubSub. And in this demo, I'm going to show you how to use GCP PubSub with Kyma for eventing. So I've changed the default channel configuration to use the GCP PubSub. And I have installed a bunch of GCP-related controller and dispatcher inside Kyma and Knative eventing namespace. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a Lambda. What is this? Is this sharing paused? New share.
We can see your mouse moving.
Okay. Now can you see like the browser and my Visual Studio Code?
Yes.
Great.
Only the browser.
Only the browser. The Kyma console, is it visible?
I see GitHub. Yes, that's fair.
I'm going to stop sharing. So if we change the workspaces, it's not working. So I'm going to do this soon. Okay, how about now?
Kyma console.
Great. So I'm going to create a Lambda. So Sayan customer created. And I'm going to listen to an event called customer created. So what it essentially, once I once I click create, what it essentially means is we'll be creating a subscription, Kyma subscription under the hood with this topic, and then Knative subscriptions and the channels will be created by the controller. If I change this work. So in this subscription, there's a Knative subscription where we have referenced this channel. And if I check this channel, under the hood, it uses the GCP PubSub provisioner. And what it means essentially is we will be able to see a topic inside the GCP. Yeah, so this is a channel name which I showed you, and it is linked to this subscription, which is listening to the topic customer created, right? And if I have a commerce link to it in this Kyma installation, so once I send this event, we should be able to see the logs, Google PubSub in action in the Lambda. So I will change my share. This is ridiculous. So I could tell this event. So I see the event is coming through, and under the hood we're using Google PubSub. So the documentation, how to use it, is here. If I can switch back to Chrome as fast as possible. So the out-of-box installation for Kyma comes with NATS, right? And then you could change the cluster channel provisioner to in-memory as well as Google PubSub. And Google PubSub we used here to demonstrate how it works in Kyma. That's it for me. Any questions? Sorry for the hiccups.
No worries. Any questions?
But it's not working via the GCP service broker, right? Or
GCP service broker, no. So internally, there is a GCP controller which talks to the GCP project and creates a subscription and the topics inside it. And there's a dispatcher in Kyma which can be installed, which basically routes it to the subscribers.
Okay.
No other questions? I'm just adding last note, the docs, where are the docs located? Okay, so the let me share my screen. Can you see it again?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let me jump into the ZenHub board to see the board of the SIG, which I hope is empty. Let me make sure that pull requests are visible. Okay, so the usual part that stays is the release process improvement proposal that is waiting for another proposal on how we would long-term deal with some of the components of Kyma that are inside Kyma repo, and at the end should not be there, but rather a standalone project. So no more details here. I can just tell you that I'm one of the ones that is responsible to create this proposal. So just, yeah, we're gonna keep you posted. Any other questions or feedback? So maybe just for you, if you're interested, I think it's interesting. So yesterday I started a quite interesting, at least for me, it's interesting thread on Reddit. It's basically, yeah, I just wanted to point out that we have new release, but people started asking questions around Kyma. So if you would like to see the thread on your own, go there. And I'm showing it to you because as a result of the thread, I created a issue on our website repo to work on some improvements for the landing page, because we anyway wanted to put a productive users on the landing page that we know that we have. It's of course SAP plus Netconomy that will soon publish a official blog post about it. But using the Reddit thread, I think that it's again time to really go through the wording that we have on the landing page that clearly showed through the Reddit thread that for developers, yeah, there are way too many buzzwords that make the understanding much more difficult than we could imagine. So if you would like, I'm pasting the link into the meeting notes. Feel free to go there as well if you have some ideas, especially that I know that many people work on the content on the landing page, and we all thought that it's perfect, and now it looks like it's not really perfect. So you can imagine me, I don't have too many ideas. I have some, but if you already know how in much easier way we can explain to developers, which developers are our main audience, what Kyma is really, without using words like cutting edge, cloud native, scalable, etc., then feel free to join the conversation. Okie dokie, then that's it. Thanks a lot for joining. The recording I'll share today and send a tweet about it. So hear you again in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.